Only took forever, but here we are about to go into weddings. Now, it's actually been surprisingly easy to avoid spoilers because I have been in another world. There's just been so much going on, and that's okay. Here I am. I have season 5, episode 10, The Weddings, and then season 5, episode 11, The Reunions. Going into the weddings, we only have two couples, which is weird, but okay. Um, and personally, I've been feeling like there's no way in hell that Stacy is saying I do. We haven't seen a conversation about a prenup, and I just don't see her going there. Her clothes have shown that she's kind of checked out. She is not trying to impress. She is not planning a long-term future with this man. That's what I'm getting from her. Also, we have watched a baby voice evolve, and that tends to come up when she does not care at all and when she's absolutely like separating from the situation. And a lot of times that baby voice is what she uses to say, "You're so sweet," or "I love you so much." And it's like, oh, that doesn't bode well. Now, I'm hoping that Netflix gives Izzy the chance to say "I do" first, because I think he would. I think even if he was not in love with her, which I'm not sure that he is, I feel like he loves this vision of himself as a husband who brings flowers every Monday and is so amazing and, like impressing the world with how he treats his woman or whatever, despite the fact that we've seen how he treats women like Johnny, and that's not cute. You can be as nice as you want to your girlfriend, but if you're just being complete garbage to all the other women in the world, it's telling. So, anyway, I'm hoping they give him a chance to say "I do" first, but we'll see how that goes. Um, Also, we have Milton and Lydia, and they have been just impressing me so much. I get chills a lot when they talk about each other and to each other. I love the relationship, and I feel like it's got the makings to be really strong and great. And obviously, this is the beginning. These people meet in a weird situation, and then they get married super early, and you still have a lot. It's basically like you are not in an arranged marriage, obviously, but you are making the commitment to say, "I'm going to choose this person again and again." And, even if it feels like it's fizzling out in 3 months, I'm going to push through and see if we can get it going. So that is an interesting thing. And I think they could make it. I have high hopes for them. I do not think that Lydia would try on dresses and go through the motions without it being serious, because she seems very emotional and like she wouldn't want that experience ruined by playing dress up. And I also don't think that Milton would take it this far because he seems very analytical. I don't think he would want to hurt somebody. I think he's very practical. So I feel like they are a solid yes, and I am looking forward to seeing how it all unfolds. So let's go get into it. Off the bat, there's some problems. We are seeing obviously like a montage of the season, but then we start with Izzy, and there's a big problem with what he's saying. He's like, "Oh, to fall in love when you least expect it." You went looking for love on a fall in love TV show. It shouldn't be the last thing you expected. So, okay. And then he's like, "Through a wall, bam, she knew everything about me," except she didn't. You yourself admit that you edited things. Now, I'm talking specifically about finances, which are clearly a very big part of her life. She's used to a certain amount of money and a certain lifestyle. But I feel like that is not the only thing. Like, that is indicative of a larger problem. Clearly, Izzy was editing himself to suit a picture with Stacy. If he lied about finances or omitted, then what else is there missing? And that is where I feel like this experiment, this TV show, seems like it works for some people. But those are people who are being messy in the pods. Those are people who are like, "Here it all is." Obviously, you can't possibly cover everything in 7 days and in a couple of hours each day, but they are doing their best to be as transparent as possible, right? Izzy says she knew everything about me, and that is a point blank lie. And the fact that he is still reiterating that to us and himself is a problem. Love has no credit score. Love has no price tag. But I believe we were told that love also enjoys flying first class. I was really trying to figure out how I could play the video like and react to it. I know I can't play the video and react to it, copyright reasons, but I was hoping that what I could do was get it to play and like pause and you could see exactly what I was talking about. But I couldn't work it out with my software. Like, I guess Netflix has something that won't let me do it. I don't know. I will work on that for the future because I think we have another queer ultimatum that I want to talk about and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, um, but there is a part where Stacy is talking to her sister and she's like, he's never like, he's never been to like Mediterranean food. And she's just kind of like picking apart his uncultured nature. Like, and I kind of touched on this before, like that it was almost like she had like a little poverty puppet. Like, oh my God, how funny. He's never gone anywhere. Oh my gosh, he wants to see the Eiffel Tower. Ha ha ha. Like, that's so lame. We've done that 1,000 times. Just kind of like this attitude of like, oh my God, roll my eyes, right? So she's talking to her sister, and her sister's like, I think he's sweet. I think he's nice. I think he would fit in with his family. And her face is like, which is not the face that you're making when somebody is talking about the person you love that you're about to marry. Like, if I was like, oh my God, Amber is so like quirky and so funny. And on my wedding day, my sister was like, oh yeah, but she's fantastic and your relationship is so amazing. I'd be beaming, right? I was beaming on my wedding day. This girl is like, why aren't you poking fun at him? Why aren't you laughing with me? Why are you taking this so seriously, girl? Like my sister is taking this so seriously. Well, yeah, it's a serious thing. I don't think it is to Stacy. I feel like she's kind of like, it is what it is. I never really wanted to be married. I never really saw it. I've never really had a lot of pressure on myself to go that route. The idea that I played around with it and went on a TV show, that's funny and weird, right? That's so unexpected kind of thing. I got to play dress up. I'm getting my hair and makeup done. Always fun. And then I get to go say no and like walk away and go find like somebody else who can jet me off somewhere, right? Like, so there's a very detached, like, this is not her wedding day. It's just not. I love that Stacy's mom is like, I'm sure when you get up there, you'll either take the leap or won't. Yes, those are the two options. You're very right about that. Like, what does that mean? Oh my gosh, I guess that's where Stacy learned how to like answer without giving an answer, because that's exactly what mom did. And you know what? Speaking of the moms, I feel like I would not be, I don't know. I don't know that I would be a raging bee to these people if my kids chose to do this. But I don't know that I could be 100% like, yeah, go ahead. Like, especially, I'm assuming that they are seeing more of these people than just the 1 or 2 dinners that we get to see. And I guess if that's the case, you might actually be able to make a judgment call. I still would be like, oh, guys, like, marriage is big, But I do think that, like, I guess there could be more that we just don't see, obviously, right? It's just a TV show. We get 10 shows. What's that, like 10 hours out of a month? So obviously there's a lot more. But I just don't know about being able to be like, heck yeah, do it. He's fantastic. It is a little, I think the best I can do, really, and I think the best any of us can do when our loved ones are being guided in ways that we can't understand is to say, like, I support you. I will always support you. I won't be ugly to you if this blows up, and I will be thrilled for you if it goes well, but like, I can support you. I just don't know anything about the situation, and so I have to trust you to make that decision. When I watch these parents interact, it's so mind-blowing because I'm like, what would you even do? And also, I also am always kind of like surprised by these shows when like the kids are like, oh, and I got engaged. And they're like, what? And it's like, did you not know that that was the show they were going on? Like, are these contestants or participants like sworn to secrecy? Like, is it surprising? Because I feel like both of my kids, if they chose to do something like this, would be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And I would at least know the possibility was coming, and like I don't think it would be such a like cold shock to the system. It's interesting. It's just weird. Anybody remember that awful poem that Stacy read in the girl pod area, or girl dorm area. Well, Izzy just wrote one just as awful. And, I don't know. Like, she doesn't get squishy. She's like, I just said he needs to be calm. And he says he's calm. It is interesting to me that, like, Izzy's idea of being strong and calm and fighting is just repeatedly saying that he's strong and calm and fighting. And it's like, what does that really mean? Like, you're not always calm. You get defensive and semi-aggressive when being called on your stuff. Now, a lot of times there's alcohol involved. Like there have been when they've kind of, it seems like there's alcohol when they start to get into like their tiffs. And he's like, what does that mean? You tell me. Well, but all I'm trying to say is like continually repeating, I'm calm and I'm strong and I'm fighting for you. Also fighting for you. We've had a couple of conversations with Izzy where it was like, what are you doing to fight? Just saying that you're fighting? It's a very delusional outlook. Is finally about to start. It's finally about to start. Because we only have 2 couples, this stuff is taking forever and we're getting a whole lot of pictures and a whole lot of videos of them like with family and stuff. Okay, let's just get to it. The wedding is just about to start. Stacey is being walked across the lawn by her dad, and I am reminded that we are in Texas because she looks like a very Texas bride and he looks like a very Texas bride's dad. In my opinion, very Southern, I guess, is what I mean by that. And okay, I'm excited. Did just want to say that while I fully expect that Stacey is a no and Izzy is a yes, I would not be upset if they married each other. It's not going to happen, but I feel like at this point, they deserve a year of just torturing the shit out of each other before they go their own ways. You know what I mean? But life doesn't always work out the way it should, which is like what I feel like for these 2. I don't think they would be a good relationship. I don't think they should stay in a relationship, but I do think that after the behaviors they've displayed on this show, they kind of deserve to like just sink slowly into that grossness. I fully anticipate that Stacey's going to sidestep that entire process by saying no, though. I do also want to take this chance to say that Stacey looks really pretty and her makeup looks beautiful. And I've commented on Stacey's makeup before. I think she puts it on a lot of it, which is a choice. It's fine. Everybody has the right to like do what they want to do and to look how they want to look. But I feel like sometimes when we see Stacey talking to her sisters and her family, it's like hard to see the resemblance. But when she was getting her makeup done and was not all like completely made up, you could actually see that she looks like her sister. I think one of their names is Salone and the other one, I can't remember her. It's like a C name. But she looks, there's a younger blonde sister and a slightly older, I think, like a little bit more darker haired sister. She looks a lot like the blonde sister and quite a bit like both of them when she doesn't have her makeup done the way she does it. And in the wedding get up with her makeup done by the professional, she looks really pretty and like a soft version of the makeup that she does, and it's really, really, it's complimentary to her. So she should definitely emulate that in the future. They just did their like telling each other like how they feel. I guess it's vows, but it's not really vows. It's like the little speech that they do. And I will say that Stacey is actually crying. Now, I think though that her choice of words is interesting because she is saying like, you have always been such a rock, you're my rock, and then she starts to cry, and it feels like she's crying because she knows she's about to end that. So there are like aspects of him that she has grown to enjoy or rely on, and she's aware that she's about to blow it up, is what it feels like to me. I could be very, very wrong. In fact, for a moment, I was like, ooh, maybe I am wrong. Like, who knows what's about to happen? She is definitely not giving off nothing but no's in this little speech. I was surprised at some of the things she said, but I don't know how much of it is like, I don't know, like for production or whatever. Like, we're not supposed to know until the I do's actually happen. But she's definitely being much more generous in this speech than I expected. She's being a bit emotional. Again, I feel like it might be related back to herself and what she's about to lose or do. I also think that whether or not she wants to marry this man and she's over being with him, they have created like a relationship. They have been through a lot. They've been sleeping together. And therefore, she's not necessarily looking forward to crushing him, is what I'm thinking. with Izzy. We're starting with Izzy. I'm so excited. We go to Izzy to see if he's going to say I do. And I am going, yes, he's saying I do. With Izzy. We're starting with Izzy. I'm so excited. We go to Izzy to see if he's going to say I do. And I am going, yes, he's saying I do.
Do you take Stacy as your wife? Do you promise to love her, comfort her, honor, and keep her, forsaking all others as long as you both will live? If so, please say, I do.
I do.
I might have gotten a little bit of karma because I was celebrating the fact that we were starting with Izzy and I was watching the show and I was jumping on here and recording, and somewhere I got my buttons messed up to where all I was recording was me watching the show, and I was actually turning off the camera when I was talking and then turning it back on when I was watching the show. So I have lost that, and I'm going to recap it for you now. Where we are currently at, Izzy is standing with Stacy in the parking lot. Stacy has said no. Now, during that conversation, I was like, oh my gosh, we're starting with Izzy, because I was convinced that he was going to say yes, and he did, of course. And then it was her turn, and she was like, I want to, but I can't. And, the families all cried and everything else. And what I mentioned was that in that moment, Izzy was clearly pissed, and he was like dead eyeing her while he like kind of squinted, but he recovers and he's very gracious. And I feel like, of course, he's gracious because he is hyper aware of his like outward appearance, right? Which is why he edited what he told her to get her to pick him. He is aware of what he projects. So in front of the family, he's like, of course, I love you. Yeah, whatever you need. We're good. We're good. Then when they see each other, they're in the middle of a conversation and she's like, I wanted to make you happy, but I can't just say yes. And, we can work on it. And he is like, why? When will it ever be good enough? Like, as if, bro, you have known her for a month. Her saying this doesn't work is completely legitimate. And if you wanted to, like, be with her, you would put the work in and do it. Is this ideal? No, but she's telling you what she needs, and you've been the man who will fight, right? Or say he's going to fight forever. And now you're basically like, no, we're in two different places. It's not okay. Oh, that's a cattail. Hey, move on. So yeah, like he is checking out, and I think she feels a little mystified because she was like, wait, I thought I had you hooked, like it's a very interesting dynamic. And I do think that I was a little mean, being like, they kind of deserve each other. And I think I got a little bit of my own karma back, but that's okay. I wouldn't change into something more comfy because I was frustrated. I got my coffee, my second cup, so I could actually be aware of what's going on. And now we're in the parking lot. Let's go see how this resolves itself. I understand Izzy's statement, if I'm the one, why does the timeline matter? And I get it. Like, you thought that you had found a way to bypass the system and get a girl, like, hooked, right? And then the credit card thing happened. Now, that's the only thing we know about, but obviously for Stacey, it's bigger than just the credit card thing. I think the credit cards cemented all of the other issues and concerns she had with finances and their different lifestyles, right? And again, that's all we've even seen. There's a whole month of information that we only got 10 hours of. So I feel like, he was all, but why do finances matter? Well, if finances don't matter, why did you lie to her? Because he did lie by omitting. Now, let's talk about lies by omission, because recently I had this conversation with a friend, and she basically said, well, isn't like omitting a lie? And I was like, there are circumstances. If you omit and like if you go about your day and you know that maybe your partner would rather you not go hit up Target, right? And so you just don't even say anything. You just come home and you go about your day. You're not hiding the bags. You're not like, anything else. But if they don't ask, you don't tell them that you went to Target, right? That's not a lie. It's just not telling them. But if you know that your partner would rather you not make your 5th trip to Target, and you do, and then you hide the bags, and they're like, hey, what did you do today? And you're like, oh, I went and had lunch with a friend, and then I went to Winn-Dixie, the grocery store, and then I stopped to get, supplies for this and blah, blah, blah. And you give them the rundown of your day, but you leave out Target. That is now a lie by omission, because you are framing it like you're answering them fully and truthfully, and you are leaving something out on purpose to mislead them. So in this case, I believe that to leave out something so big with the intention of having the conversation later is actually a lie by omission. You are aware that in this situation, you are supposed to be disclosing everything that could be a problem. Y'all are supposed to be getting down to the nitty-gritty of like each other and your lives, and then trying to put them together. And by leaving out a large part of it, like your finances and your financial issues, that is a giant lie by omission. So let's just keep that in perspective as he talks about how, like, I thought I was the one and how could she do this to us, right? She's always trying to find something wrong. And he just wants to be loved the way that he loves. Interesting. Well, maybe we are being treated. Actually, we're not. I was about to say maybe we're being treated the way that we treat people. But if you look at the way he treats people, he's actually being treated much kinder than the way that he is to other people. So let's just take a step back, right? This man and his level of delusion, right? First of all, I'm pulling up my chair so that we can really get into this. He's like telling us, like, I feel like she's just relieved. You feel like that? Bro, she just told you that. Like, you should feel like that because she very openly communicated she's just relieved. And then he says she's letting everything else get to her, all the outside shit. Like, no, it's you. You are very inside. If there's a circle of things inside of this relationship, you are in it. And it's you. You failing to show up the way you told her you were going to show up. You failing to disclose all of who you were in your life, right? Like, this is a very direct you, dude. You made her doubt this. Now, I feel like she was kind of half out the door, maybe thinking about it ish, possibly, but like, no. I don't think that it was as last minute as the night before finding out just about the credit score. I think it was an accumulation because, as mentioned several times, I believe that Stacey is financially adept enough to know that she would have a prenup if she was actually going forward, right? So, and I don't think that Netflix, if that happened and Netflix was aware of it, I don't think that they would edit it out because that's drama and it causes us to question what's happening. And that's what they like in their show because it's a TV show. So I don't think that conversation happened, which to me says that she was not going to say yes. I just don't see her taking that financial risk. It doesn't seem like something her dad would allow to happen. It just doesn't, right? But I do think that it's a fair statement to be like, it's Izzy. It's not these random things. And then he says, like, she let all of this outside stuff get to her, but he blocked it out. He blocked out like looks and money and drama. What are you talking about? She's an attractive girl who has lots of money. What did you have to get over in that situation? Tell me, please. And then drama, you were part of the drama. You were the drama. You stirred it up with Johnny at your get-togethers. What are you talking about? Delusional. And I mean, we knew this about him, but just to see it so blatantly plastered across the screen is just wild. Okay. So he makes a speech and it's heading into like, does it all matter? Does my credit score matter? Does the car I drive matter? Car you drive? No. Credit score? Yes, because you lied about it. But more, the biggest part of this is that when he was at the gym, Titanic came on, which let me just tell you, I hate being at the gym. I have not been to the gym in many years. I'm not saying I have. But like when I used to go to the gym, I hated going to the gym when they had shit on TV, and Titanic is a shit show for the gym. I'm not saying it's not a great movie. If you like the movie, that's fine. I don't really remember all of it that much. I didn't enjoy it necessarily, but whatever. It's a fine movie, but not for the gym. I hate when gyms have bad shit on TV. It's like, how is this supposed to be pumping me up? How is this happening right now? Like, I can't keep pushing myself watching this slow, terrible situation unfold. Anyway, but so he is a grown ass man watching Titanic at the gym and says, that's what love is supposed to be. Unconditional. Okay, there are so many things wrong with defining your definition of love by a movie, first of all. Like, hello, let's check into reality a little bit. You are a grown man. You should not be looking to the movie Titanic for your definition of love. No. And two, at the end, Jack dies. He drifts off into the frozen water and dies. What are you talking about? What are we doing here? Oh my God. This man, when he talks, it's just horrific. There it is. There's the personal attack. Makes me wonder why you're 33 and single, not married. I'm 29 and I can give you everything that a rich 45-year-old man who you fail with can give you. Except that you absolutely cannot. You cannot. You can't give her financial stability. You can't even give her the truth about your credit score. You can't give her vacations. You can't give her fancy dinners. Now listen, I'm not saying that those things equate love. What I am saying is if that is what you value in your life and in your lifestyle, it makes sense to find somebody who also values it. And if your love language is receiving gifts in that way, then you're going to want somebody who can provide you those things. That's how it is. Now, do I think that Stacy could have maybe been a little more relaxed with her financial requirements? Possibly. But I don't know what she communicated to him, and I know that he did not communicate what his actuality and his real life circumstances are. I think that he communicated this hopeful, the sky's the limit, that he communicated to her father when, come to find out, he hadn't even started his job. I think that he misrepresented things in those cubby holes and the cubes and the pods. But it is interesting that within the same day, at what I would assume is only maybe a couple of hours at the most after standing up saying I do, meaning that I was willing to spend the rest of my life with you, right? And I will fight for you no matter what. And I will love you to the end of time, right? After all of that, he is already, cat messing with the computer, go. He's already just going after her in a similar way that he went after Johnny. He gets personal and mean. That's just what he does. The juxtaposition of that relationship and that wedding day to like switching instantly to Lydia will give you whiplash because the energy is such a different energy. And it's not just because they're different people. It is that she is bringing a completely different openness and happiness and lightheartedness to this. And she mentions our date wasn't the best. It was a little wonky, but you know, I'm so excited kind of thing. And the thing is that like that is something I have brought up with them several times in the past is that they do not gloss over. They're not just like, it's rainbows. They are very open and communicative about the things that kind of go awry, but they don't let it like completely crush them. And that's a beautiful thing. And I'm excited for this wedding. I know that you guys know that I love Milton, and I think that I guess I'm a fan of his little friend group too, because I loved his roommate Josh, and now I can't remember the guy's name, but one of his friends, it's like they're all getting ready, and you know, his friend says, are you really thinking about it? And he's like, yeah, I thought about it. Like I've done the, and actually what's really interesting is that like of all of the people who have ever been on this show, I feel like Milton has thought about it in the most analytical way because that is how his brain works. And so in reality, he's probably the most thought out person because he does not let emotion overly influence his thought process. It's like, do I love her? Yes, but that's not the point of this discussion with myself. The discussion with myself is, will this work long term? And so he's looking at other things and breaking it down in a very analytical way. And I feel like that actually gives them a very good ground zero to start from. But his friend says, she won't be the same person in 10 or 15 years. Like, are you ready for that commitment? And I just want to say, like, Milton makes what I think is kind of a joke. He's like, oh, it's just now hitting me. And everybody kind of like chuckles. But I do think that is a really smart take on things. And that is, sometimes the friends are like, oh man, you barely know her. Or like, oh man, I never thought you'd get married. And like, they have all these statements that really are just kind of like a bunch of like noise in the room. But I felt like that was a really educated and thoughtful comment, because yeah, people change and they grow, and hopefully everybody is evolving constantly. And it's really about, I don't necessarily believe that we all have to grow at the same pace. I believe that, like, in my own relationship, there have been bouts of growth on both sides, and the goal is not to like grow at the exact same time, but it's to be constantly inspired and striving to continue to grow. So if I'm a little stuck and you're having like a growth spurt, it might make things a little awkward and uncomfortable as we kind of like get back onto solid ground, but it's not bad. It's a good, healthy thing. And I think that is like just a smart thought and a smart like consideration. This is, yeah, you love her now, but are you ready to like accept what comes in 10 or 15 years? So that's interesting, and I like it. Milton's dad is really thoughtful and is like, people are going to ask you about the time frame. It doesn't matter, because you go after what you want. But he does mention learning how to fight fair. And I think that is a really, really smart bit of advice to give, because that is not something we all learn. I know that in my household growing up, when feelings got hurt, even inadvertently, the response was the most vile things being said at people. And obviously I learned that. So I learned to defend myself that way. So it takes a lot of unlearning the negative things that you've picked up. And I feel like, I think his dad also said like the honeymoon phase is 2 years. And if you think of that in a new relationship, that would happen outside of the pods. You would meet, you would have this beautiful time, like you're just getting to know each other. It's exciting, maybe 6 months of that. And then you kind of like settle into this like life, and like the first holidays together, the first birthdays together, the first time you go on like vacation together, and all of that's a lot of fun. And then you get into like year 2 and you know each other and you feel all warm and cozy, and like all of those things. So he's right. There's this time that the relationship is virtually untested. You don't maybe have shared bills or shared responsibilities, and it's a lot of discovery, and so that's exciting. And then all of a sudden you kind of turn this point where you know each other pretty well, and you're starting to take on more life responsibilities together. Maybe you're getting engaged and planning a wedding under like traditional timelines. That 2-year phase is going to be the light, easy phase. And then you kind of get into the harder stuff, which is going to test you. And maybe is a testament to why financially and legally entangling yourself isn't the smartest thing to do until later in your life together. But I feel like with that same thought process, they are encountering a lot of pressure situations, and they're going to be married and building a marriage during those 2 years. So they will actually encounter more shared life. I guess what I'm trying to say is like the thing that makes it kind of like a honeymoon phase for the beginning of a relationship, I don't think necessarily goes into play here, because they will be enmeshing their lives and entangling things. And there will be a lot of working out the details that don't usually come for other people until later. So that's just my thought on that. Papa Milton just said, we raised you to the best of our abilities and we're confident in your choices, in your ability to make choices. And I just said that in this video, that the best I could do was be like, hey, I did my best and now I have to trust you. I love it. Coming in here real quick, because this is where I inserted my commentary on Stacy. I think that Lydia looks absolutely stunning and beautiful. I think Lydia's makeup day to day looks really pretty, but like definitely the like makeup artist that they brought in for the weddings is killing it, like doing a really good job. She looks absolutely flawless. Her dress is gorgeous. I was questioning the choice to like add the sleeves because I'm pretty sure she wanted the like little arm covers like added, and I was like, ugh, but they look really pretty. She looks gorgeous. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. They are doing their little like speeches to each other, and I am in tears. Okay, so like I'll admit it. I am so into this. I do. I just love it. I love it so much, and I can't even remember. Like I was just now like, oh my gosh, Milton just now said something. I have to go back it up. Hold on. Milton said I never had a doubt about you, and I'm like, oh, I did, Milton. I had doubts. I will admit it. Like this is one that maybe somewhere around like the mid to the end I saw coming, but in the very beginning I was so worried. It was Uche. It was the Uche situation that had me really upset and worried. And also I feel like Netflix kind of framed it like she only got interested in him after Izzy like cut it off. So yeah, I was a little cautiously upset and worried for my baby Milton, but he's doing great and I'm so happy and I hope that they stay in love forever. Does she said yes I do, and then she said I love you, like real quiet. And you know what, our very unemotional, very analytical Milton looked a little misty-eyed, and that's a lot. That's a big deal. I'm so excited. He's gonna say yes. I know he is. He better. Milton does too. Milton does too. It was cute because he kind of paused because he thought there was more bows coming, but it's adorable. And also in watching this, I'm like, isn't it weird that like in its entirety, a wedding takes like no time? Like if you're not doing like a traditional Catholic mass or like religious ceremony and then your wedding, it's like 20 minutes at the most, super quick, and your whole life changes. Isn't that wild? It's pretty wild. I mean, I've been there. I've done it. And it still blows my mind. Absolutely. My favorite part of this episode is Milton putting on her veil and like voguing and her being like, oh yeah, love it. I love it. They remind me of my wife and I so much. I mean, obviously a decade and a half ago, but still the vibe is there and I love it. I'm so here for it. We better get really fantastic news at the reunion. I will be devastated. Devastated. It's hard to watch as we go back from that beautiful moment of happiness back to Izzy laminating about how he deserves love. He deserves the same that he gave. And that for him, love is blind because he doesn't care what you look like and he doesn't care about how much money you have. Again, that's an untested theory since he was with an attractive woman who had a shit ton of money. I'm rolling my eyes. If I didn't have a freaking migraine, which the coffee is helping, I would roll my eyes eternally to this BS because seriously, like, no. Again, he's just saying like what he wants to say. He's just like professing the kind of guy he wants to be or wants to be perceived as, but it's not who you are. So stop. Just stop. As the montage comes and we are ending this episode, we get a little clip of Taylor saying that she kind of regrets maybe a little bit not going through the entire experience with JP. And then she says she feels like she did the right thing though. And I'm like, yes, girl, yes. Because here's the thing, JP was a sleeper, right? Like we didn't see him coming. He seemed like just a good old boy from Texas. Again, I want to say I did not realize they were in Texas at the time because it would have made me feel differently about JP. But because it would have, because like I was like, oh, he's just a little country guy. I don't know where I thought he was from, but I feel like the level of toxicity that he like expelled onto her about her makeup and being fake and not liking the way she looked and the passive aggressive way that he went about just kind of like shutting her down and ignoring her and not speaking to her because he was unhappy with the level of makeup and her choices in like false eyelashes and stuff is disgusting and was disgusting. And I feel like it was like another level. It was real life, completely encompassing what they call gaslighting. I hate saying that because I feel like it's way overused, but I feel like in this situation, it definitely was. And for a part of it, I bought into it. I was like, man, Taylor just can't get over this, huh? It's like, she just doesn't like him. But I actually, as we got to see a little more and like pull the veil back, we got to realize that it was him, and he was kind of ugly about the whole thing. I definitely feel like if that's how you're going to start the relationship, then it's only going to go downhill. And so she absolutely saved herself from that wreck. Up next, we have the reunion, and I am telling you, I expect disgusting things. I don't know. I feel like Izzy, I don't know when this reunion is recorded. If it's like right after, if this all gets to play and then they record the reunion, that would be interesting. I feel like Izzy is very aware of his reputation and the way that he looks, and he probably is not going to be happy with the way that he behaved towards Johnny because it's disgusting. And even though that's who he is and how he feels, I don't think he likes showing that to the world. So I do see a little bit of backpedaling there. I don't know that we'll get backpedaling on Uche's part. Again, if this has played out into the world and people have had conversations with him in his life, maybe he might be like, I could have been a little more respectful to the women, but like probably not. And even if they say those things, I don't expect them to change their behavior in the future. So there's that. I am hopeful for Milton and Lydia. I will be devastated if they are not still together. I think it will be interesting to see Stacy and Izzy. Again, he was very gracious in front of people, but ugly to her alone in that parking lot. And then ugly talking about her to the camera. So interesting. I feel like we're probably not going to get the best news from Johnny and Chris, because I definitely think we all got to see the moment that Chris went, never mind. And that was Izzy just throwing bombs. I hope, for her sake, that Johnny didn't allow Izzy back into her life in any way, shape, or form, because he does not deserve that. I feel like he'd be using it just to like build himself up, and he doesn't deserve that, and he certainly shouldn't take it from her after the way that he treated her and the way that they were so ugly. I think that you're going to see the women not very happy with Uche, and I hope to hear from Aaliyah about the whole situation. And yeah, we're going to go there next. So thanks for hanging out. Sorry it took me so long. I am hoping to be more on top of things in the future.